Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. This video will focus on turf pests, a little bit of revision that will help unlock greenkeeping skills as part of our accelerated learning series. Let's get ready and let's get into these pests.
Okay, so we are on to our first pest, which is a chafer grub, often called a cockchafer grub as well. These can cause a lot of damage to turf, but can come quite spongy and lift easily from the ground as the roots become damaged. What happens is the cockchafer grubs, they feed on the roots, and this can cause the turf to go yellow, can wilt off, die off, and it can become quite spongy. And also you get secondary damage from birds or badgers or foxes who may want to dig up the turf to eat the grubs, so it can be a double-edged problem. In terms of identifying them, they can be quite a large grub, roughly about 3 to 5 centimeters in length. They can be that sort of C shape or a crescent shape, and often you'll find them in sort of a curved shape. If you look closely, they've got 6 distinct legs quite near to the head. It's more like a dark orange head and a creamy sort of milky coloured body. Okay, so that is our cockchafer grub or a chafer grub. Okay, so we're now going on to earthworms. We all know what these look like from a young age, but they're a long, cylindrical, moist and slimy type texture as well to them. They can vary in length from anything from 1 centimetre to up to 30 centimetres, and they're that pinkish, reddish, brown, almost like skin coloured appearance. In terms of damage to the turf, well, they can be beneficial for turf in terms of aeration and nutrient cycling. They will. The main problem though is that they create the worm cast, like a mud excrement deposit, and that can cause problems for playability, ball roll. It can also bring weed seeds up to the surface, and they can smear on mowing equipment and affect the quality and aesthetics of the turf surface. Secondary damage as well, birds can peck for them and create further damage through birds. Okay, so that's our earthworms. Right, we're moving on to leather jackets now, and these can be a big problem for sports turf managers. They can feed on the grass roots, stems, and sometimes even the leaves of the turf plant, and this can cause yellowing and thinning of the turf and make it become patchy, weak, and especially in spring when feeding intensifies. The secondary damage can occur through birds who can peck at the surface and take them out, and that can cause further disruption and almost like little aeration holes where the birds are pecking. That can therefore affect aesthetics on the surface, ball roll, playability as well. In terms of what they look like, well, looking at the screen, they almost look like a worm, but they're a lot shorter. They'll only grow up to about 3 centimeters in length, and you can see those coils that are those lines that are wrapping around the body of the leather jacket. You'll find them in the upper surface of the soil. They don't have any legs, and they're that greyish brown appearance. When they turn into the adults, they'll turn into a crane fly, and otherwise known as daddy long legs, and they can fly, and you'll see them everywhere, absolutely everywhere on the golf course. Okay, that's our crane fly, our leather jacket. Right, we're moving on to moles now, and these can create a lot of damage for sports turf managers, golf course managers, as they create the molehills. Obviously, they can be a problem in terms of playability, appearance on the surface. They will also create extensive tunnels underground, and where they create their tunnels, the turf will sink as well, which can cause problems. That can create unevenness in the surface that will affect playability, walking on the surface, and especially if heavy mowers go across the surface as well. They will indirectly harm the turf roots by loosening the soil structure, and the turf can dry out as well because of that. So in terms of identifying them, well, it's that sort of football-sized mound of soil. You'll often find them near worm activities as well, because the moles are trying to get a food source, and often they quite like worms. And moles, as we know, they're a velvety grey, black, furry animal. They have extremely small eyes and a lot of nerves in their nose. They do a lot of sniffing, and that's how they'll work their way around and survive through all those nerves. And they're almost blind. Think of them as blind, despite having very small eyes. They do have large digging claws as well, that are very strong at removing soil. So that's our moles. Okay, we are now moving on to nematodes. Now, first of all, let's have a look at these images on the right-hand side carefully. They are seen through a microscope. Now, to see nematodes, you have to look through a microscope. You can't see them through your naked eye just by really trying to search for them and look for them. So you have to look through a microscope. They almost look like roundworms or thread-like worms. They're very small, very tiny, as said, and they can be quite curvy as well in terms of their shape, like a C shape, or sort of wiggly like a worm. In terms of the damage that they can do to turf, well, there are different types of nematodes. Some of them can be beneficial, some of them can be damaging to turf. It's usually the parasitic nematodes that will feed on the turfgrass roots. Some of them have like piercing hairs or piercing spikes that they can pierce through the root cells of turfgrass, and this will cause stunted growth, yellowing, wilting, and thinning of the turf surface, even if you're adequately watering it. And the turf can be slow to recover from stress, wear and tear as well. And you'll often get irregular patches on the surface that mimics drought stress when it's not actually drought conditions. So just to recap, those are our nematodes. You have to look through a microscope to see them. Also, hopefully this video has helped you. A few different pests that may come up in your exam in terms of identifying them. Do recap, look through the images, see how you can identify them, but I hope this video really helps. Thank you for watching.